to the lighting here, but
I never know how to do that. So.
It's noon, so it's not the easiest.
Okay, so we have Matt Knowles and Steph Cannon for, I'm not going to be able to say that entire, maybe I can, Heirs of Isildur.
Close.
Yeah.
Heirs of Isildur versus Tales from Nocturnia.
Yeah, that.
That one.
Yeah, your Kickstarter is like destroying it.
We're trying to. We're in that middle phase right now, where every once in a while it's a little tough to get through there, but we're definitely very happy with where we're at and looking forward to the end of the campaign as far as the ramp up and the big sprint at the end. Hopefully we have a good sprint at the end like we did the last time. We'll see where we go.
Yeah. So I don't even know what I was going to say. I was going to say something. So your Kickstarter is a little different because you have like a vinyl record, which is awesome. It looks awesome. So what was like, I can't even think of anything right now. I'm so sorry.
So I feel like you were going to ask. I feel like you were going to ask
about how how we came up with both an album and a comic, and I think the easiest way to say that without rambling on and on is there was an album that went along with the first story arc for Heirs of Isildur, The Crossroads Conundrum, which was an 11-issue story arc that we collected into a 268-page trade that is actually still available now. If you want to catch up on the story, we have catch-up tiers for that. There was an album that went along with that Matt did and had some guest musicians on. And when it came time for him to do more music and do the second album, we kind of were thinking, at first we thought, well, we'll do a Kickstarter for just the album. And then Crossroads Conundrum ended in a bit of a cliffhanger for our main character, Michael Isildur. The fate of his life was left not stated very well. So there was everybody didn't know whether he was dead or alive or what was going on. And we have a second story arc that we're going to do with Heirs, which is going to be called Perilous Prospects. And we decided we wanted to do a little bit of a one-shot bridge issue to show what exactly happened to him during this time that were right after the book, the first one ended. And so it just sort of evolved into doing the album and the comic together.
Oh, that's cool. Wait, you have people who have campaigns going?
Chucky's in the show. So with the Heirs versus Tales from Nocturnia, what that essentially means is that's when we were when Matt was working on the album, it ended up with 5 songs that were based in the Heirs of Isildur world, and there were 5 songs that are based on Tales from Nocturnia, which is our medieval fantasy series that we have. That was the series that we just wrapped up. We had a Kickstarter campaign last year for it, and there we go. Yeah, that's the trades for both. We have trades for both of them.
I don't have to read that.
So we thought it would be really cool to do kind of a little bit of a theme and a cover for the album. That's really distracting. The theme for the album that was a little bit of a Marvel versus Capcom style with the characters, and so that's what you see on the cover for the album, which is also available on vinyl, which we'll talk about later, and also for the comic, and that was done by Ren and Shodi.
Sweet, awesome. And you were very close to $9,000.
Yeah, we're just under 9,000. It's been a weird week because we were pretty close to 9,000 a couple of days ago. We're in that really weird kind of, there's always going to be a lull in every campaign, and we are hitting kind of a lull right now. But you know what? That doesn't mean we're going to stop promoting. Doesn't mean we're going to stop talking to people because we can't really get into the details of it, but we had some really interesting people that have backed our campaign this week. People that we did not expect. And like I said, because of like backer confidentiality and stuff like that, we can't really say who they were. But there was somebody that I kind of fangirled over when they backed the campaign, and stuff fangirled over. We're like, wow, that's really cool. It just shows that you never know who is out there watching, whose eyes are going to be on it. And, if you're afraid to go out there and market in areas you're not used to marketing in, you are ensuring that those new eyes may not get a chance to look at your campaign. So we've put it out there in some places we haven't normally, and we've seen some people back us and we're like, dude, did you see that person? Do you see who that is? And it's been kind of neat. So that's kind of the what we've been trying to do to overcome this the center campaign lull that everybody goes through.
Yeah. I'm promoting a Kickstarter right now. I have nothing to do with it besides like creating the Kickstarter page for Cypher Comics, and it's Heavens Decoded.
Yes.
And the guy behind that is like, he's like, wow, this is so crazy. He's like almost $1,700, or it's past $1,700 now. I was like, yeah, that happens when you run a successful Kickstarter.
We
ended up we funded in the first 40 minutes. It was crazy. I was actually there in Florida with Matt, and that's the first time that we've been actually in the same room at the start of a campaign. Normally we try to do one or the other, either at the end of the campaign or the start of the campaign. It's always just ended up that I've been there for the end of them, but this time I was there for the beginning, and it was fun to see. It was just surreal. I can't even put it into words. We just were laughing the whole time because we knew that we would have a fairly good day. I mean, you have to have that confidence and that positivity, but we had no idea that it was going to kind of blow up that first day. So we've been really grateful and thankful for all the support.
Yeah. With as much as we prepare and felt like we were prepared for the campaign and the stretch goals and the different things for promotion and all that, there's the two different modes for Kickstarters. You can say, hey, I want to have my goal be what I actually need money wise, or the goal could be what we hope we make in the first 2 days. And that's what we set for our goal, was what we thought we'd make in the first 2 days. And we were there 41 minutes into the campaign. And we were like, wow, we have to get the graphics for the stretch goals and things like that done a lot quicker than we thought we were going to. We did a show last week, I believe, and we thought that we were going to be, the way that the campaign was projecting, we thought we were maybe going to make it to that next stretch goal like the next day. And we got to the stretch goal like 60 minutes before we were going live. And I'm like, I had to like get the graphics ready really quick. I was going to do this later on tonight and get those graphics ready and all that and get them up onto the campaign page and get it emailed out. But those are good problems to have. You know what I'm saying? When the campaign is always a little bit better than what you're expecting. And, all we hope to do is just level up every single time we go out there. I mean, we don't feel like we are some great gurus of Kickstarter. I mean, we're doing better than we did the first 3 campaigns. But there's other people we know, good friends of ours that like Terry Mayo is a good friend of ours that just launched yesterday with Buddy. And Terry was at like 60% of our backer total in the first 12 hours. Like Terry was like at 110 backers in the first couple hours. And he was like, so do you think that I'm doing good? We're like, dude, yes. Like, you got to be happy with that. I'm like, you had 110 backers before you went to bed. We're like, you know how many campaigns out there would kill we have triple digit backers in the first day? I'm like, us included. Triple digit backers in the first day is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Cypher Comics it's like almost 80. They're like one backer away from 80. And he thinks that's insane. I was like, yeah, like a lot of campaigns, like it's hard to get to 100, I think.
It is. And
it's a feat. It's something to celebrate when you do.
And like for Cypher Comics, because we've seen the Heavens Decoded page. You and I have talked about the Heavens Decoded page. I think it looks like a good comic. It looks like a good product. When you are a new creator coming in and you don't have a big catalog, like we've got a massive catalog of items we can put in there. We put a tier at the end of our campaign where we've got like 35 different covers for different issues that we've had over time. And so it's a little more difficult. Let's see here.
Did I miss something that happened last weekend? Do you have something you want to explain about?
Sure. I don't know. My first question is this. Somebody tell me who Travis Bennett is. That's all I got to say. That's all I got to say. So let me say this. Give me 1 second. I'm going to do a little quick bit of research. So Travis Bennett is not currently a backer of our Kickstarter. Travis Bennett, if you want to be talking about our personal private time, go back our Kickstarter. Then I'll respond to those messages. So go back our Kickstarter, homie.
Well,
that was a very random comment.
I thought maybe something went on at the collective that I didn't hear about.
What's happening?
So, anyway.
Yeah. Anyway, what's like the highest backer count you've ever gotten? Do you know?
I think we're at 228 on the last campaign. I think we're at 228. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where we're at on the last campaign. See, but for us though, our backer count is normally a little bit lower than some other campaigns. I know, like Travis Gibb, his campaigns are always got a really high backer count, but our dollars per backer are a little bit higher because we've had a lot of higher dollar items, trade paperbacks, the leather work that we've done, like the foil covers. This campaign, you have the multiple different variant records. So there's a lot of different, higher dollar items that people have a chance to go get. So it's going to skew our backer total versus our overall dollar amount in there too.
Yeah. Trying to price out things with the Kickstarter was fun. Like, it's always fun because I always have to do that. But for Heavens Decoded, he was just like, all right, so what should this tier be? And I'm like, do you know the math for it? Like, oh, I have to do that? It's like, well, I guess I'll do it since you don't know what to do that. So a lot of people take that for granted for like a Kickstarter or Indiegogo or whatever. So it's just insane that people don't think math is important for that.
Well, and I can tell you,
there's so many numbers involved in the whole thing. We have spreadsheets like crazy. We have spreadsheets galore to keep track of our expenses and just everything that has to do with the backer. We don't want to rely on just Kickstarter to give us that information, so we do it on our end. And Matt's all about Google Docs and Google Sheets, so that's his jam. That's what we do.
Well, and one of the things too is people don't understand that. They're like, oh, I want to go onto Kickstarter and get a deal. Kickstarter's not there for deals unless you're getting higher dollar titles. Kickstarters are there because people need to be able to fund their projects. They need to be able to pay their artists. They need to be able to, give people collectibles that are out there they might not be able to produce otherwise. There's items that are stretch goals. When people look at our amount to get the first issue, sometimes they're like, well, that's kind of high to be able to get issue. Well, not really. We're preparing to get to the stretch goals. Like right now, if you got the first issue of the issue of Heirs of a Sealed Nightmare scenario, you already know you're going to be getting 3 holofoil cards from the stretch goals. They're going to be limited edition holofoil cards. You already are going to get with that. There could be a 4th one coming up. There's a half a dozen PDFs that are out there. If people were early backers, they got a glow in the dark guitar pick. So you have to account for all different things that are in there that don't go into just the price of the issue. And especially in times when people don't have the cons out there like people know, like people are used to, you have to be able to make money somehow. And it's not wrong for people to not want to be destitute. So to be able to make a little bit of profit on Kickstarters, it's just part of it's part of what it is. Nobody's getting pissed off at Brian Polito for printing up money and making $250,000 every time he does a Kickstarter. That's how he runs his business. That's why he's able to do the crazy things he does. If he didn't do that, he wouldn't have 13 employees at Coffin Comics to do everything that he does.
Yeah. I think the first like 2-3 Kickstarters that we didn't really do the math because like we didn't really know how to do a crowdfunding campaign the right way. And then I finally listened to Dylan and did it the right way. But now we have like a Google sheet that has like rewards and like how much we're going to do. I limit like a lot of things. And Ronnie's like, oh, that's a good thing to limit that. I was like, yeah, I know what I'm doing.
Yeah. So you learn with every campaign. I feel like there's stuff that we learned from this one. This is our 5th campaign, but there's still things that we've learned from this one that will carry on with us when we do the next one.
Yeah, our Seer Chronicles one that we did last year that I'm still waiting on art for. I learned the estimated delivery date thing. I used to put that like very close to the end of the Kickstarter, and I'm not doing that now. So I'm gonna like over deliver in a sense, and also
absolutely.
Our whole guideline with SeerNova is anyone that has a comic or anything under us, like our horror anthology or Seer Chronicles or anything else. The book is going to be 80 to 90% done before it actually goes to Kickstarter now, because it's Travis. And just so I know it's going to be done and like I can actually move on to the next comic, so I don't have to like wait months, and so backers don't have to wait. Yeah, I felt
that's
sorry.
that's why we've got for this campaign we actually have 2 different delivery dates. Which we normally don't do that, but when you're talking about doing the colored splatter vinyl like we have for this campaign, that industry in and of itself is going through an incredible boom for collectors right now. The 2 markets right now that are going absolutely out of control are trading cards and collectible vinyl. And there are certain areas in the trading card market that are very backed up, like getting trading cards graded is completely backed up. Getting colored splatter vinyl created is very backed up because it's all a manual process. They literally take what looks like a donut and dunk it in a bowl of Fruity Pebbles, and they mash it around with their hands, and every single record is done like that. So when we were getting the options for our vinyls, the printing place wrote back to us, so like, you don't want to go with this one because that one's got an extra 4 weeks. It's so backed up. So they were like, yeah, this is, a 3-month time frame on this one. Over here, this style is a 4-month time frame. So we're like, we don't need to be doing this 4-month one over here.
Yeah.
So that's why the comic and the CDs and the digitals, those are all going to be, that we all said August. We hope to have them even earlier than that. That's probably going to depend on getting the album finished, but the comic and everything will be easily done by that time. The albums aren't going to be able to be out until probably late October, early November, just because of the 3 to 4 month wait time to get the vinyls pressed. So we told people, hey, we're not going to make you, if you're somebody that just gets the comic, we're not going to make you wait until somebody else over here a couple months down the line gets their vinyl for you to get your comic. We're just going to bite the bullet and ship out 2 packages. It's just the only way we can do it.
Yeah, that's a good plan. Oh, okay. Jerome just said that Heaven Decoded got 80 backers now, so that's cool.
Nice.
Yeah. So I did a profile feature / campaign corner thing for Indie Comics Dispatch for you guys. Thanks for actually doing that.
Absolutely.
Aaron's like, you're going to interview them. And I'm like, all right.
Well, that was nice.
Probably would have asked anyway, because it looks
I know.
I did reach out to a bunch of people because I'm part of that Facebook Messenger group for a bunch of Kickstarters and Indiegogos or whatever. And I'm like, if you guys want to be interviewed, like, I am part of that website. And then they're like, cool. All right. But
absolutely. We'll talk to anybody about anything. You know what I'm saying? I mean, hey, Travis wants to know if this is about ink. So here's what I'd say. Yes, Travis, this is about ink. The ink that is on the pages of our comic. Boom! How you like that, Greg? Boom! Swerve.
Nice transition right there. Anyway, yeah, like I'm actually trying to find like podcasts or whatever to be on myself for our video games coming out, all that other stuff. So yeah, because Chuck last year was on over 1,000 podcasts, I think.
You have to, and I think everybody understands too, when you're running a campaign, you need to get yourself out there so that you can get more eyes and ears on your campaign. The way that the Facebook algorithms are, I think more than any other campaign, we have had more people that have said to us, well, I didn't even know you were running a campaign. We're like, surely, because we are posting a lot about it. So it's just, and it's not their fault. It's not our fault. It's just, whatever reason, the algorithm that Facebook may have, or whatever social media avenue that we're going through, they're not seeing it, or it's just that it gets buried under a whole bunch of other stuff, cat memes and whatever else.
Or
So
my
we
memes.
and there's people that are genuinely interested in our campaign and want to know the next time that we're running one. And so the more that you do to promote, the better chances you have on getting those eyes that might not necessarily see all of your posts all the time. So
well, the thing that was even like silly about that, we had a guy that was a previous backer who had backed multiple of our campaigns, and he's on our email list. We send the email list stuff out. It gets caught in the spam filters.
Yeah.
We updated previous campaigns. Sometimes it goes into the promotions on your email. We put Facebook posts up, and it would get caught by the algorithm. We're like, how else are we supposed to try and promote to these people?
Smoke signals in the sky, carrier pigeons. I don't know.
I forget, like I said, I forget if I had messaged him or he had messaged me. But he's like, hey, man, how long has this campaign been going on? I'm like, dude, it's been going on for 12 days at this point. And I'm like, we had already had 15 days of pre-promo before that. And he's like, this is literally the first time I heard about it. I'm like, so the thing to us that is kind of scary is we're like, what are we supposed to do for people that have backed our previous campaigns that legitimately want to know about this? And we are using the forms of communication that are there for us, that they have asked us to communicate with them, and they still may not even realize that our campaign is out there. So it's a struggle, but every one of us just kind of has to find ways to beat the system, so to speak.
Yeah.
Yeah. As soon as Heavens Dakota launched, I went into the Seer Chronicles Kickstarter, and then the older one, like 2 years or 3 years ago, and I'm like, you guys should check this one out.
Yeah, we absolutely do the same thing. You never know. And we do have a lot of return backers. It's always nice to see. It's always nice to see their names again, especially when it's people that found us through Kickstarter or somewhere else at some point and have continued to back us, but we don't know them through any other place other than Kickstarter.
Do you guys have a Discord? Or
we don't have a Discord, but that we have definitely talked about Discord and Twitch and things like that. Yeah. After this campaign and seeing the absurdity of trying to just get legitimate communication out to our actual fans. I mean, it's silly. It's silly that we have to jump through hoops just to get the words out to people that actually like, hey, please give this. I've opted into your email list, and they're not getting the email. Like we'll send an email out and it'll go to like my personal spam folder. And I'm like, I literally sent the email. Why is it in my spam folder? So like, if it's in my spam folder, who the heck knows where it's at otherwise? So
we found that the shows that we do that stream on Twitch as well do really well. The Twitch has a huge audience, and so that's kind of a new market that we haven't quite tapped into yet. That we might.
Yeah, I was gonna start doing Twitch. I did it like 2 weekends ago, but I like did it for like 20 minutes. I was just playing this game called The First Tree, which is a very depressing game. It's a very good game, which is very depressing. And then I'm like nobody wants to probably watch this, so like I stopped streaming.
You'd be surprised. You'd be surprised. There's some Twitch channels, and it's just
So maybe another
time. Yeah.
What was I gonna say? Thanks. Oh, Ed. Yeah, I think I would. Well, we're kind of on Discord already, but like we have our own like creator thing from our platform that we have, but we're actually creating a Discord for our video game Kickstarter. So that's gonna be like an exclusive server for those people.
So how is your video game coming along? I know that when we did our last Kickstarter, you guys were talking about the video game development. Where are you at with that now? How's that coming along?
I think he has all the locations like for the first 2 comics built. So now he's gonna actually start the story part, and the story part shouldn't take that long because I already wrote it. All he has to do is like make the cutscenes. So I'm acting like that's not hard work, but actually,
no, I'm sure that's insane.
Yeah, and he's got to create the other 2 characters. Like, well, there's other characters, but like he has to. There's a firefighter character, and then there's a cop. And those are the 2 main characters, and then there's another character that you can play as after you complete those 2 stories. And now, if Travis is still here, I figured out a way to add ink into the video game earlier than expected. So you'll be able to use him, not this round of the game, but like another round down in the future once we build that city up.
Cool.
But yeah, I'm actually going to be building that city. So that should be fun to learn. I'm still learning in Blender. So.
Yeah, I've got another friend of ours that is actually a guest musician on the album that's working in some Blender stuff. And it seems like if you have the knack for it, you can jump in really quick and start doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it seems like the learning curve once you get in there seems pretty steep. But but you can get in and start toying around to make something that doesn't just look like a Rubik's Cube pretty quickly.
Yeah. I learned some things, so now I can make grass like super easy. Or I'm really good at making food. I don't know why. Can make a Twinkie really good. So what's your plans after this Kickstarter?
So after the Kickstarter, of course, will be fulfillment as quickly as we can. And because we are us, we're going to be diving headfirst into several different projects. There's a few that we can't quite talk about yet. One in particular, I think people will be surprised to see that we're doing. It's very different than anything we've ever done in a good way. It's G-rated, and that's all we'll say about it for right now. We can't quite talk about it yet, but hopefully soon. And we'll be working on Perilous Prospects, which is the next story arc for Heirs of Isildur. In fact, we are already working on that. So, but yeah, it'll be fulfillment. We're trying to line up some shows now that things seem to kind of be going in that direction where there'll be actual real live shows to attend. We've done them all through the pandemic, but they've been smaller shows, and so we'll kind of see what the summer holds as far as that goes.
Yeah, 2020 was supposed to be the year that we were going to start going to Comic-Cons, and that didn't happen.
Yeah, it was surprising. We did a Collective Con in Jacksonville last June. Was it June? July. And Matt actually got asked to be the moderator of the panels for that show. And so he got to moderate and interview some of the celebs that were there, which was pretty cool and fun. And they did that show really well. You're talking height of the pandemic at that time. They were pretty much the only show anywhere that was going on.
They were the first show back.
But we didn't feel weird or uncomfortable. They did social distancing. Temperatures were checked before you got in. You had to wear masks. There was hand sanitizer stations all over the place. There was, rules as far as taking selfies with the celebs and all that kind of stuff. So they did it really, really well. In fact, we just did it again this last March, and it was the same thing. It was great. They were going in between in the panels and had a cleaning crew cleaning. So it can be done. That was a small show. There's no way that San Diego Comic-Con could do that, 200,000 people, and be, viable. So we did manage to do that. We did a lot of in-store signings, which worked out really well for us. And we actually, in-store signings we do well with, because the people that go to the comic shops are there to buy. A lot of times people that go to these smaller cons, they've spent their money on the tickets. They're there to... they're there to just kind of wander around and have fun sometimes. Not everybody, but there is that crowd. And so we did well with a lot of those last year. Yeah.
The Comic-Cons that I've been to so far, Dylan, 2 times were Saratoga Comic-Con, and then one was in Albany. And that was the first one we ever went to. And to see like the indie guy like on this little rock island in a hotel, while everybody else was like, there's like a cupcake stand that had a table like all set up, and more people were over at the cupcake stand than the actual like comic artist, which was sad. But
yeah. The biggest thing that we found is a struggle. We've heard a lot of people say it is the biggest thing to overcome is trying to pitch to people and connect with people from behind a mask.
Yeah,
that's been really tough, especially for Steph and I, where we're already dressed up as it is. And, I've got a top hat on, I've got a big jacket on or something like that. I've collar that's up, and you put a mask on. And so people look at me, and I'm literally like a ninja, because that's like all that's showing in my face. Steph is a tiny person, so she puts on a mask and half of her face is covered. And, we've heard a lot of people that have said trying to pitch from behind a mask is difficult. I mean, we're all in the same boat, but that's probably the biggest thing that people have to overcome if they haven't been at shows and they haven't been out there doing these things, that's going to be the biggest learning curve, is how to pitch from behind a mask, because it's a very different way to connect. You can't smile at somebody.
Can't smile at somebody. You have to really project because it's already loud in the room and it's hard to hear behind the mask. So it was a bit of a learning experience for us. And we noticed that it's, people that are walking past, you make eye contact with people, but if you can't smile and see your whole face, it really does change things up. So, but we're all, like Matt said, we're all in the same boat. If we do shows, we're all going to be in masks. So it's not like it's one person has an advantage over the other. It's just learning how to cope.
Yeah, I guess you could pull your mask down real quick and then.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dylan is in Nashville, so like trying to figure out how we're gonna do that. But Steph is in California, and then you're in Florida. So if you guys can do it, I'm pretty sure we can figure it out. But he's definitely like the person that would talk to people. People wouldn't even be able to hear me talk. Definitely not in a convention. So I would definitely want him to be like extra.
Yeah,
you're definitely gonna have to learn how to project. I'll tell you that right now. If you don't learn how to project, you're gonna be in a big problem in the con scene right now.
Yeah, I definitely can see that being a problem.
There was a couple of times we'd have people come up that were wearing double masks, and we're kind of like this the whole time, like leaning way in to try to listen to what they're saying, and you have to concentrate so hard on what they're saying because it's not their fault. It's just hard to hear. It's hard to hear behind a mask. So,
yeah, like I just talked to the, wow, I can't even think of the mailman. Wow, couldn't think of the word. Like last weekend, because he delivered a comic book or two. Oh, it was like 2 weekends ago. It was The Listener and some other comic, and I forgot what the other one was. And he's like, "Oh, you get a lot of these here." I'm like, "Yeah, I back a lot." And he's like, "Oh, what's that?" And I was like, "Oh, it's a crowdfunding platform thing. I have my own company and I do that." He's like, "Oh, you make comics?" And I was like, "I write them. I can't draw." So then he's like, "Oh, my son can do cartoons." I'm like, "Oh, that's cool." He's like, "Maybe I'll bring them sometime." I'm like, "If I'm still living here, then okay." Yeah, so it's cool to have like that comics could just create conversation.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, we've got 8 days left on our campaign. We are at 152 backers right now, 8848. At 9,000, we've got a cool double promo going on with the Surgeon campaign from Unlikely Hero Studios. Right now, if you back both campaigns, there's a cool mashup that Michael Watson did of one of our characters, Merc, and one of their characters, Smithy. He drew it on his show Chat and Draw the other night. If you back both campaigns, let us know. Then you'll get a 6x9 print of that. If both of our campaigns get to 9,000, then from our side, you'll get a Hall of Foil trading card of it. And from their side, if you back their campaign, you'll get a metal trading card of it. So that's something we're doing. We have to just get to $152 more for our half to be done. And then they are like $700 away from 9,000 on their side. So it's pretty close for both campaigns to be at 9,000 at this point.
I thought I backed the Surgeon, but I guess I didn't. Because I did promote it in a cross promotion, but I guess I'll do that later.
Yes, absolutely. So yeah, like Matt said, we have 8 days left. We've got a lot of, and like I mentioned earlier, if you're watching this and you're coming into the campaign and you're saying, okay, cool, there's a comic and it's a bridge issue. Well, I don't know that I haven't read the first part of the story. If that's something that you are wanting, we do have catch-up tiers for that. And we actually offer not just the trade for Heirs of Isildur, but also for Tales from Nocturnia, which is of course, our medieval fantasy series that we did. And we are offering add-ons as well. That's something that Kickstarter does now. So there are definitely ways that you can get, the story that happened before what we're writing, if that's something that you're interested in. But there are people too that if you say, you know what, I'm a music fan, I just want the album, and sure, I'll read the comic too. You can still get enjoyment out of the comic even without reading the previous arc, because it's wild, it's crazy, it's fun, it's a little different than the feel of the first story arc of Heirs. So I think people will really dig it.
Yeah, and Travis Gibb was in the chat earlier, and I definitely want to give a little shout out to Travis. He was one of the first people that was like, "Hey, man, I'm a fan of yours, and I want to be involved in your campaign, but I need to know is this going to be a comic?" And some people may say, "What kind of a crazy question is that to ask?" But if you know our history and you know the way that we are promoting this campaign, that's a legitimate question. Heirs of Isildur started off as an ebook that turned into an illustrated novel. Once Steph got involved, which was early on in the production of the comic issues, then it started its transition into a comic. Then when we did the trade paperback, it's a comic, but it's still a very text-heavy version of a comic. When we did Tales from Nocturnia, we did all 3 issues of that. Steph and I co-wrote it, and then we did a 152-page trade. That is a full-on comic beginning to end. Now we're coming back to Heirs, and people are like, okay, are you guys going to go back to the original Heirs format? Or are you going to stick with where you're at with Tales from Nocturnia? And our answer is absolutely. We're moving forward. That's where our vibe is. That's what we want to do. Our artist, J.C. Fabul, is a great sequential comic artist. So that's where this is. So yesterday, if you look at our campaign update from yesterday, or if you scroll down on the campaign to the section that says the comic, we actually put the first 2 pages up there minus 1 panel, because that 1 panel was a pretty big story spoiler. So we put that up there so people could see that this is actually a comic. And then right underneath it, one of the things we haven't talked about on here is that one of the neat things we're doing to make the campaign original is with the albums, with the records, instead of giving a piece of paper with all the lyrics on there like you'd get traditionally, you're going to actually get one of the comics. And the last 8 pages, 9 pages of the comic are all a page each for the song lyrics. It has the song lyrics. It has the a description of what's happening in the song, and then where it actually fits in the story. Is this something that fits into the Crossroads conundrum and kind of expands out something from there? Is it something that fits into Nightmare Scenario, which is the comic for this campaign, or is it something that actually fits into Tales from Nocturnia? And we do that so that way it helps to expand out the story a little bit. It's like the first 3 songs on the Heirs part of the album all start off with the Perilous Prospects. The Perilous Prospects of Shadow's Haven, the Perilous Prospects of the Portals, and the Perilous Prospects of the Timekeeper. All 3 of those things are basically the 3 main elements that everything in the first story arc is built around. So we wanted to make sure if somebody is brand new to Heirs of Isildur and they are wanting to jump in right now and they're going, oh, dude, I really don't want to have to go back and read this whole arc over here to enjoy this. You've got the lyrics for these 3 songs in there that can help you understand the basis. We'll have a little bit of a prologue at the beginning of the issue as well. So somebody that's a new fan can jump right in, feel like they've got enough of a primer to be able to enjoy what's happening in here. And then most importantly, as Steph said earlier, by the end, you're going to know who the players are and who they aren't when we start the Perilous Prospects. People have asked us, there's no way you're going to kill off Michael Isildur. Matt, you dress up as him every single show you do. Well, we've done crazier things than that before. Maybe Michael's going to find a way to survive. Maybe we did indeed kill him off. When you get to the Perilous Prospects, you're going to understand why we've done what we've done and how it plays into the overall story, how it plays into every character's story development and whatnot. So we're really excited to be able to get this piece out, solve the riddle of the what happens to Michael Isildur, and then get into what's happening with everybody else at that point.
And as far as the music goes, we are offering MP3, CD, and then, of course, like we mentioned, the vinyl. We have 2 variants of the vinyl. Vinyl is huge right now. Like Matt was mentioning earlier, it's surpassed CD sales. It's just there's a huge resurgence. I'm a big vinyl collector. I love collecting movie soundtracks on vinyl. So I was like, we got to do vinyl. And believe it or not, vinyl in the metal world is huge. There's a lot of collectors, and a band will come out with like 10 variants of an album. So we have a like an orange splatter variant for the vinyl, and then we have the blue, red, black. Is that right?
Yep.
So there's those 2 choices as well. And then of course we have, as an added bonus, as an extra, we have we're offering the custom leather turntable mats. Our friends at GB Leatherworks that we worked with the last few campaigns. Harrison and Martin, they're doing this for us. There's 2 options. There is the dragon symbol that we have that was synonymous with Tales from Nocturnia, and then we have the gear symbol, which of course is our steampunky airs symbol. And they are actually, as a Kickstarter exclusive, glow in the dark. And if you go to our Kickstarter page, you can actually see a video of the turntable mat spinning around with the end of the lights turning on and off to see the glow in the dark and how it's going to look. And it looks awesome. And if you don't have a turntable and you're like, hey, that just looks cool, I want to hang it on my wall, you can do that. Yep, there they are right there. Harrison not included. Sorry, Harrison doesn't come with it. But
if you scroll down from there, right there underneath there's a little video, you can see
right
he's turning the lights on and off to see the glow in the dark little elements.
I mean, look at how cool that is. If you just want that on your wall, you can totally get it and just hang it on your wall. You don't need to put it on your turntable, or you could. Either way. And to go along with the glow in the dark theme, we are offering glow in the dark guitar picks. It was an early incentive, and now it's available for any of our elite tiers, which are $59 and over. You would get a glow in the dark guitar pick, and again with the same symbols that were on the turntable mats.
Yeah, that's awesome. Actually,
and if you go above there, you can see we have 5 different covers for the comic for this issue. We've got the Showdown cover from Ren and Shodi, which is what Steph said earlier, the Marvel versus Capcom homage. We have what's called the parchment version of that, which is the same version, but it looks like it's very steampunky in its style. That one is going to have a very small print run to it. We probably are going to print only 20 more than whatever the campaign requires. And so if there's 10 people that buy it in the campaign, then we're only going to print 30. If there's 50 people buying the campaign, then we'll print 70, and we're going to hand number every one of them so people know just how rare this that variant is. Underneath that, you've got the third part of our Garbage Pail Kids variant, our Garbage Pail Kids homage covers, which I can tell you, I'm a big Garbage Pail Kids fan, but until we started promoting to the Garbage Pail Kids community this campaign,
which there is one.
I didn't realize just how insane and how big that community is. I mean, it's like, we think that the comic collectors communities, I mean, like every board I'm on for Garbage Pail Kids is like, this one's got 8,500 members. This one's got 13,000 members.
It's crazy.
There are some places that are having to put limits. They have a new version of some Garbage Pail Kids that are coming out now, and they've had to put limits on how many people can go buy the boxes because people are just buying them and flipping them, just like people do with variant covers, just like people do with vinyl. It's insane how big that collector's market is. But there's been some people that have taken notice of this cover, and then the 2 we did in the previous campaign, Blasted Beninock and Vile Verminoth, that we were very surprised at, that have really enjoyed our take on this that was done by Walter Osley from Scout Comics.
That's awesome.
And then if you go down from there, you'll see we have the foil version, but then we also, in the next section, we have to us, what is the most important cover in this whole series, which was unexpected at the beginning of the campaign, which is the tribute cover we did for Corey Steger. To be brief about it, Corey was one of the musicians that I've known for over 20 years. He's was the main other musical component to Heirs of Isildur on the albums. He was on every song on the Crossroads Conundrum. He recorded his parts for this album on March 6th, and then he was tragically killed 11 days later on March 17th. Just 2 weeks ago, I was just telling Steph today, I'm like, I can't believe 2 weeks ago I was at his memorial service. It feels like it was months ago.
Yeah.
But that cover is a joint effort between myself, Steph, Corey's best friend Rick Lobb, and artist James Sims. As you can see, it is an homage to Game of Thrones, but the throne is actually made of Corey's guitars. Awesome. So we went back all the way to 2000 when Corey was in Under Oath, and got screenshots of some videos from back when they were playing festivals, some stuff he did online, and then the times that he would be recording with me. And we found different pictures of these guitars, and we made sure we got them on there. And we wanted to make sure that it was authentic in that way, because first and foremost, we wanted to make sure that his family was able to have a new, current, recent rendering of him, that they could be like, wow, look at this awesome thing that is out there that was created for my son or my husband or my brother. And there's this thing out there. So that was very important to us, and having Rick involved, because Rick was like his day-to-day best friend. That really meant a lot to us too, because there were little items, little elements that we probably would have left out if it wasn't for Rick, and Rick had us put them in there. And when the family saw the cover, they were like, "Oh, look, he's wearing silly socks." Right off the bat, first thing, he's wearing silly socks. Oh man, that's the kind of smirk I can see Corey having, that smirk on his face. So it really meant a lot that we captured some of these things, that the family members were all like, "Wow, that's my son," or "That was my husband," that was my brother, and so that meant more to us than a lot of the other things that are happening in this campaign.
Yeah, it looks awesome. Did you watch all of Game of Thrones?
I did. I was a big fan. So I read all the books too.
Did you like all the books that are out? Yeah.
All the books that are out, which are all the books. Let's be real, everybody. I think at this point, I don't know if there are any other books coming out, but yeah. But no, we actually had another concept for the cover that we thought was going to work out and be a really lovely tribute. And then all three of us, both Matt and I and James, kind of went, no, I don't think that's going to work out the way that we envision it. That's sort of what happens with art sometimes. And it was kind of weird because we all sort of got this idea collectively at the same time, because I know Matt and I started talking about it, and James said, yeah, I actually was thinking of something very similar. So we're like, well, that has to be what it is then. And it turned out so amazing. He knocked it out of the park and did a great job.
That's awesome.
So, and of course, there's a lot of guest musicians. Corey is obviously one of them. We have a guest violinist by the name of Andrew Polo, who is amazing, and you can actually hear his work on the Kickstarter campaign. If you go there, you can hear a song that we have available that he just absolutely shreds it. And yes, he shreds it on the violin. I will say that. Trust me, he does. But we have a few other musicians that are involved in making this all possible. Fabio Grimdrap, who is a member of the metal band Trollfest, is doing some guitar work. And then we have a few mixing and mastering gurus. Zach Leeser is on it, as he's an amazing, crazy talented guitarist.
Yeah, Zach's on here. Then we also have Brian Eckerman and Kyle Weston. They are both a part of the production team with us. Kyle I like to make sure when I'm working with, kind of like as a writer, when you're a writer, you want to work with the best artists that you can to be able to bring that vision to life. When when we're working with musicians, we want to work with musicians that are at the top of their game craft wise. And Zach Leeser is one of the best guitar players I've ever heard in my life. He does things on the guitar that just make my mind cramp when I see it. Andrew Polo the same way. Corey was that way. Kyle Weston has got a really big knack, really keyed into how to get the right levels when you're doing mixing. Hey, you got to move this around. You got to move that around. He was able to drop a guitar solo on the album with us. And then Brian Eckerman is our mastering engineer, who also mastered the first album. And the mastering part of it is when you're trying to take the mix that's already been done and get all the sonic ranges full. So that way, if you play it up against another album or you play it against something on the radio, they're all going to be at the same level in the same sonic range. And Brian has got, when Kyle first heard Brian's mixing, he was like, oh my goodness. He's like, this dude knows what's up. And he was actually really surprised, because I had talked up Eckerman to Kyle Weston. And when he first heard when he heard Eckerman's mastering of the Perilous Prospects of Shadow's Haven, which is the advanced single that's on the campaign page, he was blown away. So I'm like, okay, if this savant over here is blown away by this savant over here, I feel good. I'll just sit over here in the middle like my gut little self and let these savants over here revel in each other's goodness.
And you got your shipping notes.
Yep, shipping notes talking about separate shipping and that Matt mentioned earlier. So we've got a lot of fun stuff to offer, and again, all of our support merch that we have put out, or most of it, I should say. There might be some things that we might have sold out on from previous campaigns, but everything that you see on the campaign itself, we are offering as well. We've got face masks, we've got shirts. We've got a whole bunch of support merch from our previous campaigns, both Airs and Nocturnia related, that you can just add on. And if there is something that you see, because amazingly enough, and when you have as much stuff as we do, we tried to get it all in the add-ons, but there were a few times that somebody messaged us and said, hey, I'm looking for this and I don't find this tier here. I don't find this item on the add-on. And we would go and we'd say, you know what? We absolutely missed that. We're going to go put it on there right now. So if you see something that you want and you don't see a tier or an add-on for it, just message us and we'll work it out for you. We want everyone to get what they want and be happy. And we're on it. If you're going to message us, unless it's the middle of the night, we're going to respond back to you as quick as we can.
And we tried to make sure with our tiers, we have a lot of tiers and we know that, but we try to make it there's a logical progression to the tiers. There are some people that are our fans because we have a following in the steampunk world. So we try to make sure there are some tiers that are called Let's Get Steamy. And, hey, I want to just get into the steampunk stuff. Okay, I want to really get into the steampunk stuff. Okay, I want to take it to the level and get everything steampunk you've ever done. There's some people into the medieval. Let's get medieval. We did the same thing with medieval. There are some people that have backed the campaign because they're Corey Steger fans.
Yeah.
And we did the same thing. Here is the entry level stuff for this campaign for Corey. Hey, you just want to get the cover, or you want to get the cover and this CD, or you want to get the cover and this CD and the last CD, or you want to get all those things and the vinyl. So we've tried to make it where if people have a thought in their mind of what they want, hey, I just want to get in, I can do that. I want to catch up on all the stories, or hey, you know what, you guys are totally cool, and I want every single thing you've ever done. We've got completionist tiers, we've got ultimate tiers, and like I said, we've tried to make it where it's as simple as possible, because I know when I go onto a campaign, I don't want to feel like I have to go, okay, let me pick a tier and then let me see what might be in the add-on section that I didn't even know about. I don't want to have to do that. I want the tier to be there for me, even if it takes a little bit to understand everything that's there. I want the tier to be there for me, and then maybe there might be an add-on item. We've had people say, like I said, hey, we have too many tiers, but I can tell you right now, we've still probably had 20-something tiers that have been selected by people, and we've had so many weird add-ons, and it's not like our items are weird, but just like, oh, somebody got a regular issue, and then they added on one package,
a challenge coin or something.
Yeah, a challenge coin. If you don't have those options out there, people are not going to go search it out to buy it. Give them those options, make it as simple as possible, and see what happens.
Yeah, I don't think we have any add-ons for Heavens Decoded, because we threw the page together not last minute, but it was 2 weeks of just being up all night. Me and Josh, the artist behind the book, and Ronnie has been moving. He was moving from Pennsylvania to Florida, so he had to go back and forth a million times. So we were building the whole Kickstarter, and
it's a lot of work. It's it's definitely a lot of work, and there is still, like I said, there is still items that kind of slipped through the cracks or whatever the case may be. But and it's kind of funny too, because we do have a lot of tiers, and normally I'm the one that's like, whoa, that feels like a lot. But I actually, if you're going to run a campaign and this is not your very first story or issue, you have to have catch-up tiers, because somebody is going to go to your campaign and they're going to say, this is issue 3. How do I get 1 and 2? And if you don't quickly offer that, if they don't see that right away, most backers are going to get a little turned off and not want to back the campaign. You have to offer catch-up tiers. And so, we have two titles that we do right now. We needed to make sure that we had enough for those people that say, oh, it's Tales from Nocturnia versus, Heirs of Isildur. Okay, well, I want to read Tales from Nocturnia too. That's great. We have a trade for that. And we have a lot of really cool looking support merch, because a lot of it is dragons, and who does not love dragons? Who doesn't want more dragon stuff?
Yeah. Where do you keep all of this stuff?
Matt's garage.
So there's a whole bunch of this stuff behind these banners. There is a whole closet over here. We keep the majority of our steampunk wardrobe for our shows in one spot, so that way we're not having to find it. And there's a curtain right here, and behind this curtain there is a rack that is probably 12 feet long, 10 feet long, that is nothing but all of our steampunk stuff for shows. I've got a rack right here that is just off camera that's got 9 top hats on there, and all of our gloves and goggles and stuff like that, because nobody wants to be trying to find those things. And we try to tell people two things you wouldn't guess. One, it was Steph that said that we needed to do the vinyl. It wasn't me. It said do vinyl. Steph was what said. And the other thing people don't know is I am normally the one that puts together our outfit combination.
He is the fashion one of the pair, which is very funny. It's true because in our the way that we dress at shows, if anybody's seen us at shows or in pics, you know that we dress steampunk, but it has evolved over time, mostly for fun, but also for comfort. Because if we're standing and we're on our feet and we're in a convention hall all day for 3, sometimes 4 days in a row, we need it. We want to look cool. We want to look good, but we also need to be comfortable because otherwise we're not going to be on our game. We're going to get grumpy and it's going to affect everything. So it's evolved a little bit. I tried doing the corsets and skirts, and as much as I love the way that looks, it's not very conducive to being on my feet all day or bending under the table to grab something that's under there for a customer. So, but our personalities, we're wild, we're fun. We want to stand out. We want to have fun with things because it's been a tough year for everybody. If you can't have fun, then what are you doing? Yeah. So it has evolved. We've got some crazy. Now our big thing is we like to twin. We like to find ways to sometimes literally wear the same exact shirt in different ways. But that's stored all at Matt's because I travel a lot. Shows in California have not been a thing. Florida was pretty much the first state or one of the first states to try their hand at shows during the pandemic. And even in normal times, Florida has a lot more mid to smaller shows than a lot of other areas I've seen, at least my area. So I'm traveling there a lot, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to be hauling, a wardrobe back and forth. So all my stuff is there for the most part.
So yeah, we'll just get on a video chat and be like, hey, so I'm thinking, what if we were to wear the black pants with this thing, and I'll have to put them out on the floor and be like, yeah. I think I have another twinning combination, or we'll go online and we'll be like, I'm like, hey, there's this shirt that's really cool, and guess what? They actually have it in like adult extra small or kids large, so it might fit you. And I've got one here. What do you think about this? And we're like, yeah, that's cool. Let's get those. Let's get one for me and one for you. And we'll see if we can make these things work. And a lot of times we've been at shows, and those are the ones that people have responded to the most.
Yes.
We did Collective Con, and we have these shirts that just look like a Crayola crayon box, just puked all over it. And then we put steampunk stuff over top of it. And we got done with the show.
Yeah.
We got done with the show, and we went to a Firehouse Subs, and we saw the shirts on. And the guy behind the counter was like, dude, where did you get those shirts? I would wear that shirt every day.
We go out in public after a show, and we're just wearing the shirts. We've taken off our goggles and all that stuff because there's not really much need to walk through a Walmart wearing goggles. And people thought, it's like every person that sees us because we're wearing the same shirt. And some of the shirts we like to say are kind of your 1980s couch in your grandma's house. That's the kind of shirts we're wearing. But when you put steampunk on them, it's all about comfort. It's all about having fun. It's all about standing out for us. We have a lot of t-shirts. We could wear our t-shirts to shows, and that's awesome to do too. But we would just inherent in our personalities, and Matt, even before he and I were ever working together, that was what he did. So it'd be kind of weird to just not do it at this point. Everybody would be like, what's wrong with Matt and Steph? Why aren't they dressing up? Why is Matt not in a top hat?
Yeah, whenever we start going to cons, I might dress up as a character, but
oh yeah, you absolutely should. It's fun. And people really love that because obviously Matt resembles Michael Isildur. That wasn't really necessarily done on purpose. It was just that when the artist was getting concepts together for the character, Matt sent him a picture of himself in steampunk and said, this is kind of an example. And that's what I came up with. But it's funny when people walk up to the booth and they look at the banner and they look at Matt and they look at the banner and they look at Matt and they go, is that you? And he says, well, yes and no, not really. But people love it. They think it's so cool. How many people can say that they have created a character that they can cosplay as?
Yeah, that's true. Sovereign Comics, Tyr Jackson. He looks just like his one character in Temple High. And people actually ask him the same questions at cons and stuff.
Yeah.
Is that you?
Yeah.
I guess so. It was the artist wanted to draw him as me. Oh, that's awesome.
We're finding ways for me to be able to cosplay some of our female characters as well. So yeah. I already am kind of because I'm in steampunk stuff, but we're gonna up it a little bit, I think, in the future. So just gotta keep people on their toes.
I think this is a possibility.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for coming on and reminding me that I was doing this.
Not a problem. Hey, you know what?
It's all
the
good.
weekend. It's a Saturday. But, thanks for having us on. And like we said, we've got 8 days left. The link is in Matt's name right there on the screen, and it's in the comments. tinyurl.com/heirs versus TFN. And if you go to our campaign and you go, wow, there's a lot of tiers, message us. We'll help you out. If you don't know exactly what you're looking for, we're happy to help anybody.
Yeah. Back it. Get it to 9,000 at least.
Yes, 9,000. We've got some. We'll hit that stretch goal and let you guys know what the possibilities are beyond that.
There it is. Okay. Well, thanks, and I'll end it.